Labor Day out there, people, and welcome to the OH.Report video podcast where we're always on the job, bringing you the latest in local sports, as well as debates on the topics that the world needs to hear about. My name is Brian Skronsky. I'm going to be your host, but I got three heartthrobs with me as well. They're going to be shaking a little bit of seasoning onto today's program. Let's begin over here to my left. How about the dynamic duo, G-Man and Storm? Over in their little corner, raise the roof, get people excited about today and the big podcast that we have. And Hayden, Gray, also here, and nothing gray about this man's personality. He's got it all lined out, filling in for Big League Berardi today, who's out in West Virginia, in his homeland, doing whatever it is that they do out there. But gentlemen, let's begin with a little bit of high school football. And tell me about the non-conference part of the season. It's in the books, 3 weeks down, and we've had some really impressive teams right here in North Central Ohio. But there's got to be a couple that are just a cut above the rest. We'll begin over here with G-Man and Storm. Who do you believe so far at this point in the season has been most impressive to watch?
Well, Brian, I actually do have two. I'll just touch on Shelby here quickly because we all know that I was going to say that. Sorry if I make some of you Bellevue fans a little upset, but I think Shelby is just super impressive. Marshall Shepard had himself a day. We'll talk a little bit about more of that later on. But Crestview I think is very impressive. They took care of East Knox in convincing fashion, and I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with in the Finals Conference. I think that they're going to be something that a lot of teams are going to dread, that Crestview matchup on their schedule.
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback off that and definitely go Crestview. I mean, they've manhandled almost every opponent on their schedule. They dominated East Knox, which a lot of people in the media were really picking East Knox to win that one. And Crestview went in there with their heads down and really just put the hammer to them. And they got a big conference game coming up. Week 1 of the Finals Conference schedule opens up. They'll be in Collins, Ohio to play Western Reserve. So that's going to be another big game for them. But, I mean, for Crestview, they've checked every box.
And it's going to be picked up.
I'm going to piggyback off of your piggyback, Jason. We're going to go 3 deep on this one. Man, how about Connor Morris being a star? I didn't know that this little guy was going to be the engine that could. He had 4 big touchdowns the other night. I'm one of those media members that pick East Knox, so I'm going to have to eat something real spicy tonight when we're at dinner. We'll make sure we get a video of that. G-Man backing his Cougars all the way, and they're averaging 45 points per game. That's the one thing that I didn't see coming. I thought they might be able to do it on defense, but they're doing it on both sides of the football. So the Cougars have been really impressive, but have they been impressing you so much that they're also going to be on your list? Are we going to go 4 deep on this, Hayden?
Yeah, I'll definitely give Crestview some love. I got to see them week 1 against Loudounville. They are extremely impressive. Definitely interested to see what they can do the rest of the year. I'm going to go with the Storm. I'm going to throw out 2 teams. Crestview was one of them, but I want to give some love to the Lucas Cubs. I don't think that that's a really hot take. I think we all expected them to be doing what they're doing right now. But Lucas, I mean, I got to see them last week. I believe, if I'm close, just a little bit over 350 yards rushing. They're one of those teams that if they stay healthy, they continue to stay conditioned. Their offense is just one of those that's just a freight train. They've got the size, they've got the stamina. And they even threw in some passing in their last game. So I think Lucas is still one of those most impressive teams that's looking to make another deep run this year.
Yeah, I'm going to throw one more out there from the small school ranks. And Colonel Crawford, look at what they've done. They have pounded their first 3 opponents. They've won by 144 points in 3 games. They're averaging almost 300 yards rushing per game. And then they're throwing it pretty good, too. I think about 170 per contest. And after graduating that extraordinary class that they had from a season ago, I personally didn't see this coming, so bravo to the Eagles for flying, soaring high above the competition so far up to this point. And how about those TY Tigers? They beat 3 quality teams in 3 different ways. We've seen them do it with offense. We've seen it do it with defense. We've seen it do it with big plays. That's what they had last week, explosive plays on the road at Hoover, where a lot of people, again, in the media, weren't expecting the Tigers necessarily to go on the road and pick up a big win over the Vikings, but they were able to do it. 2 goal line stands at the end of the game for Mansfield.
Wide open receiver, touchdown. Miles Bradley.
Really nice.
There's a flag in the backfield, and let's see if this one's coming back. Could it be another hold?
Let's flip the script now and talk about some teams that haven't had success through the first 3 weeks of the season. Who has a losing record, Storm, that you feel like now that it's league play, they could turn the corner, make some noise when things are all said and done?
This is another team that's playing their home games at Ashland, and I think it is Ashland. You were enlightening me with some information, Brian. 2 years ago, they started off 0-5, finished out the season with 4 consecutive wins, then 1 loss, and that 1 loss came against Worcester, and they would have taken the conference with that win. And a guy I wanted to talk about was Landon McFrederick. He was their top wide receiver last year, switched to quarterback, and I still think we're experiencing some of those growing pains. So, I think Ashland has the tools and the pieces to put everything together. It's just been a rocky start, but I am not counting them out by any means necessary.
And I really like what I saw from McFrederick in the second half against Tees Valley. They ended up losing that game, but he was a reason how Ashland was able to get back in it. So with some more reps, it's tough to play in that system, that big spread that they have. So if you're accustomed to being on the outside and being one of the playmakers, and now all of a sudden you're the decision maker, you're the play caller, you're the pre-snap read guy, it's going to take a few weeks. So I understand the struggles, but I like that pick. I think the Arrows can turn it around. Who you got, G-Man?
I'm going to go with Hillsdale out of the Wayne County Athletic League. The two teams that they played out of conference are 3-0, and then they beat Loudonville to sit at 1-2. And 4 of their last 7 games are against opponents who are below 500. So I think they might be able to sneak up in the WCAL and maybe make a run at the title.
All right, and for me, I'm going to go with the Lexington Minutemen in the OCC. So we've got 2 OCC teams potentially clashing near the end of the year. And why I'm picking the Minutemen, they're 1-2 right now in the season. They had just one really bad quarter against Clear Fork. If not for that, and it was a bad quarter, 29 unanswered points, this is a team that's at 2-1. They're right in the mix, certainly at the top of the playoffs in Division 4, Region 14. But I really like their defensive front. I feel like they got some great guys on the ends. They have some 2 stud running backs as well. Senior quarterback, so they have all the pieces and parts. Sometimes it's just about learning how to win games, and they haven't been able to do that the last couple of seasons, but I think with the coaching staff that they have in place, that they are going to be prepared. The longer the season goes along, the better Lexington is going to be. What say you, Hayden Gray?
All right, well, I'm going to go with a tough one. I'm going to go with the Redbirds down in Loudonville. We were giving all this love to Crestview a little bit earlier. They were a team that they got to play. Week 1, that score ended up being 45-25, but looking back on that game, it was definitely more competitive early on. Didn't really get that breakaway for Crestview till the end. They have a young quarterback, sophomore Matt Sprang, so he's still building some experience right now. You take a look at their conference. They're down towards the end, sitting at 1-2. They have a fairly favorable schedule coming up the rest of the year, playing some other 1-2, 0-3 teams such as Orville, Northwest, Tuslaw. So I think that it's another aging experience. Talking with our colleague, Garret, we talked about there's someone that usually catches speed as the year goes on. I remember all the way back from my high school days playing Loudonville. They definitely used to compete quite a bit and play us rather tough. So I think there's someone that, while they may not be, I'm picking them to win the league, they could fight for it and maybe make a little bit of a run.
So that's the teams that have impressed us or we think are going to impress us in the future. Now let's talk about some individuals, beginning with our winner of Friday Night Phenom from Week 2. If you didn't see it on the Friday Night Pigskin, here's your opportunity to see who that person was. Roll the clip. So here it is, the Week 2 winner from Friday Night Phenoms. And when you look at these gaudy numbers, you understand why Tyler Johnson of Centerburg was the choice. Just 15 carries. He didn't need to touch it a bunch, and he did a whole bunch of damage. 177 yards, 4 times he tasted pay dirt. That's a heck of a game for any high school kid. Got the Trojans off to a 2-0 start. They weren't able to play last week due to COVID, unfortunately for them, but we're thinking they're going to get back onto the field this week. Big game going down in Howard against East Knox and the Bulldogs, so we'll see if the Trojans can keep it going. Congratulations to Mr. Johnson. Back-to-back winners from Centerburg, all because of you, the fans, voting. And again, you can vote online this week. And hey, let's get the party started. Let's show you Week 3 Friday Night Phenoms nominees presented by MTD Products. Here we go, gentlemen, kicking things off with the Lucas Cubs, the little engine that just never seems to stop. And this guy, too, just a sophomore, and he was a bell cow. 21 carries, over 160 yards, and he was able to get into the end zone on an explosive run that really put the game away. Hayden, you've seen this kid with your own eyes. How impressive was Andrew Fanello?
Man, he was impressive, as you just said. You take a look at that last clip they played right there. He seemed to have really good patience, feeding off of the big shout out to the offensive line. They really do a nice job there. But just reading seeing where the holes are, being patient, and just giving the extra mile to drag those defenders with him. And he's got quite a bit of speed, as you see right there. He can take off. No one's going to catch up to him. And that's the same effort he ran with the entire game. So someone who's just going to be, as we often talk about, a workhorse around here.
How about those Cougars? I mentioned that this kid is a star in the making. His senior year, he's been waiting in the wings for his opportunity, and now that it has arrived, Connor Morris, boy, has this dude stepped up to the occasion. G-Man, tell the folks at home watching what makes this dude so special and so dynamic. He's only 5'9", probably $165, but he's got some wiggle, some shake, and some heart, no doubt.
Yeah, Brian, he runs with a lot of power, man, and it's been a few years for him to be able to get out there and get that starting role in his senior year. I mean, he averages almost 10 yards a carry. We mentioned this multiple times in the broadcast. Every time he touches the ball, it seems as if it's going for a first down, Brian. And on that play right there, I mean, he was in the backfield, stopped, and he made a man miss and got the first down. So Connor Morris, man, shout out to him. He ran a hard game against East Knox, and what a dominating performance for him and his Cougars.
Yeah, got him off to that 3-0 start. He probably has been the biggest reason why he certainly was a standout against the Bulldogs, and a lot of the chatter was that the Dogs had the better unit up front and that they were going to wreak some havoc in the backfield for Crestview, but nah. Thanks to Morris and company, and shout out to the offensive line making those holes that he was able to run through, but he was certainly a dynamic playmaker worthy of making this list this week. Another guy that you saw with your own eyes, G-Man, Hanif Donaldson, and what can't this dude do? He doesn't even have a position on the field. He truly is just an athlete. Unbelievable how good this kid is in the open field. It takes bare minimum 2-3 guys to take him down.
Yeah, you have got to get the ball in this guy's hands, and we didn't have enough room on the graphic, but he also did complete a pass. But, I mean, what an incredible game for Hanif Donaldson. Just get him the ball as much as possible, and he will get the yards and get the touchdowns. He had an immaculate punt return touchdown where he made almost every defender, Brian, on the field miss, and just some more of his highlights here with the catches, the runs. I mean, it takes 3, 4, 5, 6 defenders. As here's the punt return, you're going to see multiple defenders, man, try to get at him, but nobody's going to take him down. He runs with a lot of heart and a lot of power and runs behind his pads.
Unbelievable highlight here, and he's been putting these up, just circus type of stuff throughout the entire season, and almost doesn't even look real the way that Hanif is able to spin his way through traffic, bounce off of defenders like a human pinball machine. Unbelievable game for him. And you want to talk about unbelievable games. Holy cow, almost 500 yards passing, 32 completions, and 6 more tutties. Marshall Shepard doing it each and every week. He's the only player so far to make it onto our countdown as a Phenom every week so far of the season. Storm, I know that this is your new BFF. You guys hang out every single Friday night. What makes him so special?
Oh my goodness, just look at the numbers. 400 and almost 75 yards and 6 touchdowns.
Jeez.
Oh my goodness, their team combined had 22 rushing yards. So Marshall Shepard put the team on his back on Friday night, and we came in second place last week. Then Marshall comes out, has an even better week this week. If he doesn't win, I'm going to lose my marbles. I don't even know what else to say. I'm pleading with you, Whippets Nation. Pleading, please get this man a Phenom win. He has had the best numbers, in my humble opinion, every week so far up to week 3. I'm sure he's going to go out and do it again. The dude is just an animal. Get this guy a win.
How about Miles Bradley and what he did too? On minimal touches, he was able to have a career night in the receiving game, $155 through the sky. And oh, by the way, how about 2 tackles for loss? He had 7 tackles overall. He was the best overall player and athlete on the field, according to my dude, Effie James, on this night, going against Canton Hoover on the road. You see the speed, you see the hands, and then here in a second, you're going to see him catch and take it to the house on this pass from Amar Davis. What a special talent Miles Bradley is, and what's most important, I think, is that the Tigers were able to get the win with his leadership as well. He's a senior now. He's the guy that they're relying on. He's got great hair and just overall a stud muffin. He takes on the role that his father has coached him up to be big time. Stuff right there. How about Victor Skoog? 18 of 26, 222, and 4 touchdowns passing for the Clear Fork Colts in a big comeback win against Lexington on the road. And Skoog, what I like about him so much is that he's a dynamic athlete that can do it with his feet. He can do it with his arm. If he gets out into space, you are in trouble, and that's where he's at his best, I think, is when he's going outside of the context of the play and he's just making things happen. So it's always fun to have those kind of guys out there, Hayden, that you just never know what you're going to get. It's like a box of chocolates, man. How do you bottle them up?
Yeah, I mean, those dual threats, the unpredictable ones, those are one of the most entertaining to watch. It seems like he can put the ball exactly where he wants it to go. You know, Lexington isn't an easy opponent, but the unpredictableness, I mean, you really like that as a coach. You can't coach that up. Sometimes it's just think on the fly and see what you can do to get the team to win.
So Victor Skoog, 29 unanswered points for him in an overtime victory on the road at Lexington, getting his Colts to 2-1. A big reason why he is a nominee. Make sure that you make your vote count. Get him in when you can, folks. Let's move on now to the top 5 plays of the week. We'll show you first who the winner was from week 2. Let's roll that clip. So you guys voted, you decided, and after we tallied up all of the votes, how about this? Whip It Nation doing their thing, and certainly so was Andre Hill. Storm, you video cameraed this when you saw it in real time. How impressed were you the fact that he just needs 5 fingers to snatch this ball?
Oh, I think Andre Hill needs to have his gloves sent to the MOAC investigation unit. You know, I think there's some spider tack on there. They're going to have to check him out for some sticky substance on that glove because there's no way he made that catch on his own.
Well, he did, and that's why he was the winner for week 2, our top play of the week. Now let's show you the nominees, and I believe we got bonus material for you coming up from week number 3. That's right, here are the top plays of the week and your nominees. We got 6 of them this week, folks, so technically it's the top 6 plays of the week. And let's begin with the Whippets of Shelby. Think they're going to go in for the game-winning touchdown, but no, an interception by Bellevue, and Deegan Horn seals the victory for the Redmond Storm. Huge play right here.
Yeah, absolutely massive. A Leviathan play, some might call it. Deegan Horn able to, just get in the right place at the right time to cause Marshall Shepard's first interception of the season.
Nominee number 2 is going to take us back out to Lexington, where the Minutemen, they got it thrown. It's tipped, not once, not twice, and then it looks like it's going to get picked, but no! How about Caden Eichler coming out of left field from nowhere? He's not even pictured in your screen when that thing gets lofted up into the heavens, and then he just comes out of nowhere, makes the catch, picks up 17 yards and a first down. At that time, Lexington had a nice big lead thanks to plays just like that one. How about nominee number 3, Hanif Donaldson of Galleon? It's going to get punted to him. Never a good idea to give it to this guy in the middle of the field, G-Man.
No, Brian, and he makes every defender here on the field miss, just dancing his way through the defense. And he's been in the shadows of some better plays, but I think this week, Brian, Galleon's got to show out, and they got to vote this guy the play of the game here because, I mean, this is incredible. He makes almost every defender, as I mentioned, on the field miss with the spin move and the dance moves.
There's not very many plays that just make you smile the entire way through. That certainly was one of them, the jaw wide open. At nominee number 4, let's go out to Canton, where it's Amar Davis. He's going to run it. No! He's going to toss it up in the air, and on the other end of the line, picking it up is Miles Bradley, taking it in a 60-yard touchdown in the second half to help complete a comeback win for the TY Tigers. No play was bigger than this one on this night, where offense was at a premium, less than 400 total yards from both sides of offense in this game. 60 of them all chunked together right here. Bradley and company coming back for a nice win against Hoover. At nominee number 5, we're going to take you to Community Stadium of Ashland, where, again, is that what? No, it's going to be another trick play in the throw deep. Brian Haase to Grayson Sturry, 60 yards again, just like the last one for a touchdown. Just big-time stuff right there, Storm. And anytime you can trick the defense, lull them to sleep a little bit, obviously it worked out.
Yeah, always got to be aware on the defensive end. You can tell that, Ashland really did lull the opponent to sleep. And, hey, they're my arrows. Don't count them out. They got some tricks under their sleeves. I mean, just a really special play right there.
And then, as mentioned, we've got some bonus material on the way. The 6th nominee this week is going to take you out to Lucas, where Jerron Philidor right here is going to make a leaping reception over 2 defenders. Get mossed, not 1, but 2. Cubs D-backs can't slow him down. We got to see that one more time. Slow it down a little bit for the folks. Look at him, sky high, and then just come back over the back of a Cub defender. Awesome stuff right there. 6 great nominees, and you, the folks at home, get to decide who had the top play of week number 3. All right, let's move from the gridiron now and go to the hardwood of the volleyball court, where we've got a special treat for you guys here today. Former collegiate standout at Syracuse as well as the University of Dayton. She was also a 3-time All-Ohioan, playing at Lexington with her mama coaching her. I think she's the best high school volleyball player that I've ever had the opportunity to watch. And now she's commentating games for us here on the OH Report. It is the one and only Mackenzie Weaver joining us right now from home. So, Kenz, thanks for the time. And how about the introduction? I get that about right? You were kind of a rock star back in the day at Lexington.
Oh God, you're gonna make me blush. I mean, it wasn't bad. I did have a great experience where I was. We had a great team culture, and like their memories that'll last a lifetime. Not many people can say that they had the high school experiences that we did at Lexington, just with the culture, the teamwork we had, the leader that we had at the time. So, yeah, you did a good job, to say the least. You just
Appreciate
make me blush a little bit. You're hyping me up a little too much, but I appreciate it.
All right, well, calling matches for us so far this season, I should say. You've seen some MOAC, some Firelands, some OCC. Tell me, of the collective teams that you've seen, who's good? Who's good out there in our area?
So it's kind of nice that I've been out of volleyball, because then I see the kids that were little, that were like the second and third graders that my mom had in club growing up. So I see, okay, this is what's left kind of her era. Not to say volleyball's down, but volleyball in our area, if I'm being honest, has been down for a couple of years. We've had new clubs that have been introduced. They brought some new blood back to the area. What I've seen so far, Norwalk, St. Paul, and the Firelands Conference, they're always going to be studs. Great job. I hope she doesn't kill me if I say that. Doing a great job with the program. Her kids play great fundamental volleyball. Usually they're undersized. She has some bigger kids this year, which is nice to see. Cressy's a little bit down this year. They lost a couple of kids, but I never like to say it's like a rebuilding program. They just got to kind of move, and they got to fill kids in where they had holes before. Haven't seen Lex play yet. I've only seen one OCC matchup, I think, so far. Yeah, one OCC matchup so far. So I'm interested to see what else he has to offer, because I had West Holmes and Orville and Worcester, and some of those teams are gone now. So it's wish that would have happened in my time. We would have had some more wins. But yeah. Ontario lost some. They had a great match against Clear Fork the other night, which was interesting to watch. I'm excited to see how Shelby, I had some of those kids last year when I coached volleyball. I'm excited to see, because some of them play on the varsity team and some are playing on the JV team, so I have a little bit more emotional attachment to them, and I'm excited to see how they go. But overall, it's been an interesting first couple of weeks. I'm getting more comfortable behind the mic, so I can kind of see what talent was there before looking last year than looking forward. So.
What about individually? Who would you say has really stood up and been a phenomenal player so far through the first month of the season?
Oh. I don't want to say I don't know, but I haven't seen that kid that has, like, when I look at them, I'm like, she's fit, she's strong, fundamentally, she's super, super solid, and is like a go-to player on their team. Not to say that there isn't one, I just haven't seen any kids yet that have done that. Norwalk St. Paul had like 3 or 4 kids that were super, super solid. The kids in our area that we're going to see all the time, I just haven't seen them step into that role yet. Not to say that they won't. I think it's going to be them figuring out what their role is on the team. If they're a lead by example type of kid, that they are not maybe the best player on the team, but they're the kid that they go in every single time. If they're a serving specialist, they go in and do their job. Or if they are their superstar, they say, okay, they're the best player on their team, they're the one with all the stats. Okay, how are they going to rise to the occasion when things get hard and things get difficult? Because that's a true tellament of a team. Because like you can go and beat Joe Schmo by 15 points and have 20 kills, and it means nothing if you can't go beat Orville and have 15 kills on the night. That doesn't mean anything. So I think next week, I know I have a game on Thursday and Saturday. I'm really interested to see who plays and who steps into that role, because this is now like the 3rd week of the season. So that is when I'm going to see, okay, kids are more comfortable in their offense. Serving should be getting better. Serve reception patterns are there. There's rhythm with the middles. There's rhythm with the outside. So next week, this week kind of should be kind of like the tell-all of who's going to step in and who's going to be first team all OCC, first team MOAC, first team Firelands. That's what the type of players that we're going to see moving into next week.
Well, in certain sports, Mackenzie, coaching is a little bit more valuable than others, I would say. Football, for example, it's real key to have a good leader at your head coach and then have some good position coaches that are able to make you be a little bit better version of yourself. Where would you say you fall on that with volleyball and kind of the importance of having a strong coaching staff in place?
So That's a really good question, and I've always been wanting to kind of get into that with somebody. Volleyball is so technical, and there are so many different aspects and different roles on the court. It is really hard for someone who is like a defensive specialist to teach blocking or to teach setting. You have to know what you're talking about, and you just can't be the person with like this much experience and this much knowledge, and then you go coach, because you put kids at risk to get hurt. You put kids at risk to learn bad habits. And I'm happy to see that some people back in the area have either gotten out of coaching that shouldn't have been doing it, or getting back into coaching that should have. So it's really exciting. I know over at Clear Fork, their head coach played at Florida Gulf Coast. I have never seen a coach, she's young like me, be so involved with her kids. And she's saying all of the right things and keeping your kids engaged, teaching the right techniques, because there are years you're not going to have the athletes, and that's totally fine. It's better sometimes not to have the athletes. It's for the kids that are going to have their right foot forward when they pass the ball and are going to approach left, right, left, and their feet aren't going to be wrong. Because I've seen kids that are like that. I'm like, you are so big and so athletic. Like, how can you be teaching kids the wrong thing? And that's frustrating for me, because I think, especially when my mom coached, she had kids. She's like, I don't care in the middle school if you win or lose matches. Are you teaching them the right things? Are you serving aggressively? Are your feet forward when you're passing the ball? Are your hands pressed to zone 6 when you're blocking? And during my mom's era, like my coach, Kelly Holder, that I had in the 8th grade, amazing. She taught us all of the right things. We worked hard and played for each other. It is so important that you have someone in your little people that either play little people club. It doesn't have to be super things. And you can tell which schools do that, and they put pride in their programs, and they hire people that know what they're doing, and you can tell which ones don't. So I'm happy to see that there is some improvements, but I don't know. Fundamental volleyball will not change, and I will harp on it all year. Like, her feet are wrong. She's got to get her feet fixed, because if her feet are fixed, she has so many more options on the court. Or serving in and serving aggressive. Volleyball is a serve and pass game. If you cannot pass the ball to target to your setter, I could be in your front row, and I could hit as hard as I could, and I could usually average 25 kills a match. And if you can't pass the ball, I'm essentially useless, and your offense is useless. So it's kind of like in football. You could have the best quarterback in the United States, and your offensive line could just suck, and he could get sacked every time, and it wouldn't make a difference. So if I have to make an analogy for people out there that are listening, it's the same thing. Or you could have the best setter in the world, but if you don't have a passer, like, you can't do anything. So fundamentals and having people in positions, and you can be a former player and not know how to coach, or you could be someone that's never played volleyball a day in their life, and they become students of the game, and they are amazing coaches. I've seen it everywhere. But you have got to know what you're talking about, because if you don't know what you're talking about, that's when volleyball in certain areas goes down for 10 seasons, and you're like, what is going on? And then when people come back, you're like, oh, they're good, and this is why she played. I'm like, no, it's not even that I played. It's I taught my kids the right thing, and I will lose doing the right thing before winning and not teaching my kids fundamental volleyball.
Love it. That's some really good insight right there. And I feel like we do have some good coaches and staffs right here in our area, so we're a little bit spoiled in that regard. Certainly some great teams and programs from the bottom levels all the way up. But Mackenzie, we're making you work here on Labor Day, and I understand you were helping somebody move today too. But when you get a chance to be away from the job and just hanging out, relaxing, what does Mackenzie Weaver do for fun, man? How are you going to spend the rest of your Labor Day?
Oh, so if anybody knows me, I am a homebody, kind of, when I'm really tired like I am, but I am obsessed with Marvel. Like, if anybody sees me out, I probably have like a Marvel t-shirt on. So I'm gonna meet up with a couple of friends, and then I'm gonna go see the new Marvel movie. And I'm gonna get my big old bucket of popcorn, which my mom will probably steal from me, so I have to sneak my own snacks. But yeah, I'm gonna probably go see a movie, take my dog for a walk. I'm surprised you haven't heard him, because anytime there's any sort of attention, he likes to pop his head up right here and see what's going on. But yeah, I worked out today. That was good. Got my body moving. But yeah, Marvel movie. Yeah, big, strong right here. So I'm going to go see. I don't know how to pronounce it, so I don't want to butcher the name. But it's the new Marvel movie that looks really good.
Are there any good volleyball movies out there?
Okay, they made a volleyball movie somewhat recently, and I loved, because I read the backstory on it. I don't even remember what the name of the movie was. But I sound horrible, but I'm like, hire some former collegiate athletes to play the volleyball players. That's all I ask. anyone out there, if you want to make a volleyball movie, there are about 10,000 former Division I athletes, Division II athletes, Division III athletes that would love to do it. Because there were some that were in, I'm like, oh, that looks really good. And then sometimes I'm like, oh, God, the sound, the movements, it was a little bad. But there was one that came out, I think it was in right before COVID, or I don't know. The past 2 years, I tried to remember, like, it's going to be 2022 in a couple months, and I'm not prepared for that. So there is one that came out. That's the only volleyball movie I know that came out. I don't remember the name. I probably should.
All right, well, yeah, we definitely got to get some more volleyball movies in the works. And if we do, Mackenzie, we're going to have you involved in it. We'll get some other stud former D1 athletes out there. So Mackenzie Weaver, everybody, if you don't catch her tonight at the movie theater, you can see her on the call on Thursday at Crestview. They're taking on Monroeville. And then again on Saturday back at Crestview, they're taking on Galleon. I'm going to be calling that match with you. Really excited to be on that one with you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Have a great day, guys.
All right, you too. So let's take it from the hardwood with Mackenzie back out to the pitch. We're going to talk about some high school soccer here in the area, and we got a lot of good local talent, some stud individuals, but who has impressed us the most? I'm going to let G-Man and Storm tell you first. Who's been the top standout star player that you've seen so far, Storm?
Well, just talking about an individual, Kyla Spencer. She had two goals in her last match out, on that Saturday afternoon matchup. But I don't think it's just her. I think Ontario is just a really solid squad, top to bottom. I think they're the team to beat. But, I mean, spearheading that, of course, is Kyla Spencer. And I think she's even been, the OH.Report player of the game, I think every time we've been out there, except for maybe a couple of times. So, Kyla Spencer from Ontario, I mean, she's just getting things done.
She's got the speed, she's got the foot skills, she's got the frame too, so she really does possess everything that you need in a star player. And Ontario's got a ton of them, but she would be the brightest star on that squad.
Oh, yeah.
G, who's really impressed you so far?
Well, Storm did take my answer, but I think another good pick for Ontario would be Macy Mangan. But I'm going to go out to Crestview and pick Mary Leeper, the leading horse for the Cougars. She really is one of the better players in the area, and definitely in the Firelands Conference is the leading goal scorer for Crestview. And every time she touches the ball, she's a threat to score. So you got to make sure you're watching out for Mary Leeper when she's on the pitch.
All right, so a couple of girls for your picks that have stood out. And for me, I'm going to do a boy and a girl, both from the Madison Rams. And I got to go with Corbin Hurt for the gentleman. That dude, he's the smoothest player that I've seen in person so far this season. The way that he can dictate the offense, he starts and stops pretty much any time that he wants. I really like, too, how he's so vocal out there as a leader. 2 big goals for him in a win against Mansfield Senior, and he's got his squad off to a 3-1 start. If not for that crazy finish against Clear Fork, Rams still could be undefeated. And then on the ladies' side, I got Nevaeh Lewis. I know that this isn't the state champion Rams with all the talent that they were loaded with a season ago, but as just a sophomore, she looks like she is the go-to ringleader of this squad. She's got 6 goals in 6 games so far, and I think is the fastest girls player that we have here in the area. So both of my picks coming from the Madison Rams. Gentlemen, let's totally switch topics now, and let's talk about some movies. Now, Mackenzie's got my brain. I'm thinking about, some of the big picture flicks that are coming out, and maybe some of the better ones that I've seen in the past when I've gone out to the theater or watched them at home. And war movies especially, those are big box office films that take a ton of people, a lot of budget, all that good stuff to make happen. So what are the best war films of all time? We're going to tell you right now what our favorite picks are. We'll begin over here with Hayden Gray. What's a war movie that you've seen that you think just a cut above the rest?
Well, it's not necessarily one of those that is an oldie or maybe even a classic, but one that stuck out to mind when I was thinking of this was 13 Hours, if you consider it a war movie, with John Krasinski. The one where they're going over what happened in Benghazi. There's just something about when I watched that movie, it kept me captivated every second. I thought it was extremely well produced. The acting was great. So that's going to be my choice. It's not an oldie, but I consider it to be really entertaining, and that makes a good war movie to me.
All right, dynamic duo. What you got on this one?
Well, I'd consider myself a little bit of a cinephile, so I'm going to have to go, of course, with a classic, Full Metal Jacket. It's a Kubrick film. Of course, it's going to be incredible, but standout performance from Ronald Ermey, who played Sergeant Hartman. What a fantastic character. I think Kubrick did a very good job at writing him. The movie, a lot of people do say, it's not as entertaining in the second half as it is in the first half, and I'd agree, but I mean, there's just so many memorable characters. There's 8-Ball, there's Private Pile, there's the Joker. I mean, it's just an all-around great film, and I don't think there are very many other war movies that can beat it.
And hopefully I'm not making stuff up, but I believe that I've seen the behind the scenes on that, and actually the gentleman who ends up playing the main character that you were so impressed with was out there just to coach them up, was actually from the military, and he was so darn good at it that they were like, no, we need you specifically to get in this, and then he would play it in a few more movies after that.
Yeah, actually, Ermi, Kubrick actually didn't write a lot of his lines. A lot of that was ad-lib just right off the top of his head, so very creative guy, and he did actually he was in the military before he actually filmed that movie, so just a heck of an actor, and he did play in quite a bit of war movies and commercials and things like that after, so, I mean, Kubrick knows how to find them.
What you got on this, G?
I'm going to go with a newer movie called Unbroken. It's about a true story on Louis Zamperini, who qualified for the Olympics in 1936, but obviously World War II would break out. He would enlist into the military, and then on one of the planes, it would go down in the Pacific Ocean, and they would be trapped on a raft, him and a few buddies, for about 47 days. Eventually, they would get captured by the Japanese and go through all the concentration camp kind of stuff like that. Anyway, it was a good story, but I was going to go with Full Metal Jacket, but Storm did steal that one for me. But I'm going to go with Unbroken, a newer one. It's a little bit different, but it's a pretty good movie.
Yeah, I've seen it. That was really good, and I love the pick with Full Metal Jacket. But I'm going to go with a little bit of a curveball and another Stanley Kubrick movie. I'm going to go with Dr. Strangelove. I don't know if you guys have seen this or not, but Peter Sellers plays Dr. Strangelove. I think he plays like 3 roles in the movie. It's a satirical take on what a war room would look like with the atomic bomb. So there's some cleverness to it to make it all happen. It's really, really well done and documented, and you never see the ending coming, or at least I didn't. I've seen it a few times after that. Awesome movie. I think going back to my childhood, I think it was the first rated R movie that I got to go to when I was young. My mom brought me to Saving Private Ryan, and that took my breath away. Just that opening scene, extraordinary. You know, you got Spielberg. Tom Hanks is exceptional in every single role that he plays. Matt Damon. So for me, an actual war movie, I would put that one up there. And if we can throw in a comedy, Tropic Thunder, the way that they pulled off that movie is it's spectacular in so many different ways. The characters and the roles, I mean, I don't know how they developed some of that. I don't know how they come up with the ideas for some of these movies, but Ben Stiller and company, they put on a true awesome performance in that one. So I'm cheating. I guess I went with 3 movies there instead of just 1. If you're going to watch a movie, though, guys, do you like watching it at home from the comfort where you're on the couch, you can cook up whatever you want, you know, you can pause it if you need to for a little bathroom break or to let your dog out or whatever it may be? Or do you like going to the theater? Hayden, where do you land on this?
Every time one of these questions are posed to me, I struggle so much. There's so many good things to look at on both sides. But when it comes to movies, you bring up good points. If you have a home theater, you might be able to pause it if you need to. Some more convenience, you can have whatever food you want. Unless you want to sneak it into the movie theater, that's an option too. I think going to the theater has some pros because there are some movies, as we've talked about, war movies. I know a lot of the Marvel movies, like their releases, bring a lot of this, but there's something about being there with total strangers. And I think a lot of the Marvel movies have that happen where there's like cheering and there's like energy like you're watching some type of event unfold. So I think there's some nostalgia in some of the environment that you can't take out of going to the theater. Personally, though, if I could have the same size screen, I would rather watch it at home, have like a big lazy boy or big leather couch, whatever I want. But so I would go home theater, but there's some certain aspects that go into the actual theater. You can't beat it.
No question. Like the human energy when you're out there, like you said, you're with 100 or more other strangers and then just all feeling the same emotions all at the same time on that huge screen. Something pretty cool about it, but I probably side with you. I think if I can, I'm going to just stay at home. I'm going to order up some pizzas and hang out, you know, maybe have a couple of pops or something and, you know, enjoy myself. What about you guys?
There we go.
For me, I think it's more equivalent to, you know, would I rather go to a sporting event or stay at home and watch it on TV? So I definitely think I'd rather be in the theater. I just think there's something special about it. The movie theater popcorn is fantastic, and you know you can't beat like the $14 snacks or whatever. There's just it makes it taste a little bit sweeter. So I mean, if I had to choose, I'm definitely sticking in the theater over being at home and watching a movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of pros to the theater, but I'm going to stick at home because I don't feel the need to get up and go drive to watch the movie when I can just watch it at the house. It's too much effort and it's too much work. But now I will say the butter and the popcorn machine at the movie theater. You put a straw down and then buttery skoog. Yeah. So the theater popcorn and the food is definitely amazing, but I mean, I'm trying to have a steak with my meal and watch a movie, so I'll definitely rather do it at home.
I've never heard of anybody putting a straw in their popcorn. This is a first right here on the OH.
You just put the straw in,
and then the butter feeds into the bottom.
Yeah, so then it's fully like distributed within the popcorn.
Oh, okay, I feel you. So you're not like drinking.
No.
Okay.
That's just so the butter gets to the bottom.
Understood. And I feel like there's candies that you can get at the theater that you've never seen anywhere else, those snow-capped mountains, the juju fruits and stuff. Like, I think that those are made specifically for the theater. So if you're really trying to get your snack on, I guess that would be the place to go. For us, getting our snack on when it's on a game day, we decided last week that the chicken wing, easy, bar none, the #1 snack to have on a game day, unless you're gluten-free and you can't have those style of snacks. So what is the better wing, though? Is it the drumstick or is it the flat? Hayden, are you even allowed to eat these? Can you weigh in on this?
Yes, I can. I don't want to have to go first again. I feel the pressure. So, I mean, traditional wings to begin with, I've grown to love them now that I can't eat gluten. So I think you can't go wrong with either. I feel like it's situational for me. It's tough. I feel like flats are easier to eat, but sometimes there's a little bit more meat on the drumstick, so it's kind of a toss-up for me. I'll go drumstick as a preference because you can hold it with one if you wanted to rather than having to use both. I see both of our resident experts over there are giving me some shade, so let's hear their answer. I'm pretty interested to hear.
Yeah, take it away, experts.
Well, flat is easily the best. I just think it's way easier to eat than a drum. I think it's just way more convenient.
There's not as much bone.
Yeah, there's not much bone.
Have you ever had the flat where you can just either mush it down and get all the chicken on one pull? It's just much easier to eat. And I feel like it's got more sauce on it too. It's not as dry. So
good point.
definitely going with the flat. I don't even think it was really a debate.
And like when I eat a wing, like I want to spend as little time getting around the bone as possible and the most time eating the chicken as possible.
Like spin
it,
like
a
just
corn on the
pull
cob.
it. Let's go. We're moving on.
Yeah, and then you get it on just like that. It's super easy.
I'm with you. There's just something about that flat and the fact that you have to have two hands to eat it. That's how the chicken wing was meant to be eaten, not with one hand for convenience so you can text or Instagram with your other hand. No, we want to just get all the meat off with two hands, nice clean sweep, a little bit more sauce. I think actually a little bit more meat. I would disagree, Hayden. I feel like sometimes you get shorter a little bit with the drumstick. It looks like it's bigger, but nah. There's some hidden meat in between those bones there on the flats that I want every single time. And I believe we're going to beat ups tonight. I'm going to get me some flats. I'm looking forward to that a lot. I think we've worked way too hard today on Labor Day. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's podcast, and it's going to keep coming each and every week. So Monday night, next week, we'll see you right back here. But in between, catch a few OH.Report live streams. We got some highlights on the way too. We're always here. We out for now though.